Is it really possible for your average Magic the Gathering player to reach Mythic without spending a single penny? Today, we're going to put that to the test, starting with a fresh account and grinding the ranked ladder to see how many games it takes to reach the coveted Mythic rank.
Hello everybody, my name is AJ and I'm here with Day 5 of the Free to Play to Mythic Challenge. The past few days we've been going on some great win streaks to propel us all the way to gold on just Day 4. Today we're going to try and keep that momentum up and keep trying to progress through the ranks as quickly as possible. First things first, we re-roll our 500 gold quest, and we're going to go ahead and hop into the ranked ladder. Here we are in game number 1, which what looks to be a very playable hand. We were able to drop our Tifa lock card on turn 2, have Defend the Reanimator and Bristly Bill to help her grow into something very, very strong very, very early. Go and grab our white mana. Made that mistake a couple days ago. Do our best not to make it again. Playing into some kind of Gruul matchup. Interesting to see what pieces we'll have available to them. Tentatively, I don't love the idea of dropping a T-Fart into what's almost guaranteed removal. However, with the second T-Fart in the back pocket, I think it is not an awful choice to make. Curious to see what kind of strategy they're cooking up. Interesting. Looks like it might be some kind of spider tribal deck. Wow. Or seems to be a very strong creature. 5/4 trample right off the bat. Well, I think our best choice is just going to be to... Well, Defend the Reanimator is definitely something we want to keep available. We need to Bristly Bill and hope we can make Tifa a problem before long. Shelter by Gross is a great piece for them. Gonna let their boars start gaining some life back and honestly be a really big problem for us. Let's see what we're able to find off the top. Fortunately, that is not what we're looking for. And I'm gonna drop Tifa as it does seem we really only have one more turn to find a win here. We will just have to see if we can make a comeback in this game. That's definitely a start. At the very least, we can shelter by ghosts. Well, we can't, unfortunately, shelter away the Boris. We could shelter by ghosts away his shelter by ghost, stopping the lifelink at least. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we have a lot of great options here. I think the best play will probably to give Bristly Bill the ward and steal our Tifa Lockhart back, but unfortunately we'll only get to keep one. However, I think stopping the lifelink is going to be one of our only ways to victory here. Make sure we don't let them build up enough of a cushion that we can't let Tifa grow into something powerful. Interesting to see that they don't swing with Boris. I think the best choice is going to be to... Let's do some math here. We can drop our escape tunnel, put a counter on Tifa Lockhart. But even with a fetch land, she would only double to 14. So, might as well get our land drop so we're able to Traveling Chocobo the following turn. And if we are lucky enough to find another fetch land off the top, potentially grow Tifa into being powerful enough to win the game. let's hold up one interaction we can and see what they do on their turn. Obviously hoping they drop a kill spell and we can block it with the Rider. But we'll see, especially if they're going to play a big creature like that. The 5-color spider. Able to get it out. It's definitely scary. Oh, with the haste from Scions, that's... oh, Lanarels is not a spider. Don't know how I missed that, but that fortunately does provide us 1 life to survive with. And without them swinging with Fave Weaver, not a huge difference, but here we Traveling Chocobo, and let's just pray we can find another fetch land. That is exactly what we want to see. And should be enough damage to propel us for the victory. And that is a very, very lucky top deck. Very fortunate to have found that. Definitely would not have won this game every time we played it. But we made the decisions to give ourselves the best chance for victory. Here we are in game number 2 with what looks to be a phenomenal hand. We have a great curve, protection for our landfallers, and the start to what will hopefully be another good game. Go ahead and get our turn 1 in. Interesting. I think I'll get rid of the Tifa, as ideally I'd like to take turn 2 off to hold up Defend the Rider for the Chocobo and turn 3 Hydra. Tifa doesn't quite fit the curve. This may be even better turn 3 play. Get the Traveling Chocobo in, and then we're able to hold up Defend the Rider the turn we drop our Mossborn Hydra. Again, remember to get our white mana early. Our ideal would be if they spend 2 mana on a kill spell, which we're able to defend the Rider. But there's definitely other options for them as well. Deep Cavern Bat being one of them. A little bit more worried about this card is if they take the Chocobo, I feel a little bit less safe about dropping the Mossborn Hydra on curve, especially into a mono black deck. Taking the protection is definitely a reasonable choice in my eyes. Now the question is, do we continue to play the Chocobo? Do we play the Mossborn Hydra? And I think playing the Chocobo is better, as Bristly Bill can pseudo double the Mossborn Hydra triggers. And I'd rather they use the removal on the Chocobo than on the Mossborn Hydra. Let's see what they choose to do. Tiny Modes is a great card. Typically the turn 3 for black decks, if they don't have the Unholy Annex, can be a little bit suboptimal, as a lot of the good kill spells are 2 mana. However, them getting to 1-drop their Tiny Bones is definitely a positive for them. It's a great blocker into the Sazer's Chocobo we've got. Now, I think the best choice is to Mossborn Hydra, as that's known information. Both of these are going to fill similar roles, at least in the situation we find ourselves in. And I think being able to bluff Bristly Bill, I think, is a phenomenal... Bluff Bristly Bill as a protection spell is definitely a phenomenal choice. Question is, how scared am I of Tiny Bones? I don't particularly want to trade the Sazer's Chocobo away from it. And since we have a Trampler, I'm not inclined to get rid of it just to clear the blocker. See if they're pretending to not have triggers, or if they just don't have kill spells. And it looks like they may just not have a kill spell. Be unfortunate if they were to draw one here. But if we're able to find a fetch land... Now, a fetch land still wins us the game, and I think Bristly Bill's value is slightly diminished. However, I want to get rid of the Saz's Chocobo, as Bristly Bill can still double the Mossborn Hydra, so it turns any land into a finisher. Now, let's... A rare occurrence, but pray for a land off the top, and that's exactly what we want to see. Very fortunate games today, very grateful to have the top decks we have, and will allow us to push through for another victory. Nice win against Mono Black. Definitely a deck that can be a big problem for us with their suite of removal, but we were fortunate enough to find the cards we needed and for them to not find the cards they needed to win us this game. Here we are in game number 3 with a hand that may not be the best we've ever seen, but definitely one that I'm happy to play. Let's just drop our Summon Fenrir turn 2. Enables us to get our Shelter by Ghosts active very soon, which into the black deck definitely could be important. Being able to get rid of that Unholy Annex, even for just a turn, can definitely be a step in the right direction. Here we could drop Tifa, which there's merit to playing Tifa and hoping they spend a removal on it. However, I do like the idea of playing the Saz's Chocobo, and while generally I would like to play the Chocobo and play the Forest for guaranteed value, because we have that second Tifa, I'd love to see if we can burn a kill spell in the hand on it. It'd just be interesting to see what cards they play. Now if they drop the Unholy Annex, a fetch land would obviously let Tifa get in for a little bit of damage. That seems to be a great piece for us. Now, I think I like the idea of Traveling Chocobo, as on the following turn we can Saz's Chocobo and Fenrir to get a little bit of extra value on it. However, I would also like to have Shelter by Ghosts available to us as soon as possible. As well as with the Traveling Chocobo dying to a lot of basically every removal in the deck, I think it's worth taking the safer play and just dropping the Fenrir and getting Shelter by Ghosts mana available. So on our turn we can Tifa and Shelter by Ghosts and make them spend a whole turn to either get whatever they want back or do nothing at all. More than happy to play the Traveling Chocobo. And get some free. Now typically I would like to play this land off the top. And to be honest with you, I do think that's our best choice. Considering playing the Terramorphic Expanse and trying to find another top deck, but getting to use Traveling Chocobo as essentially free card draw is one of the best parts of the card. Now here, let's choose to make the same decision. Might as well get Tifa in. And let's see what pieces they're able to have on their turn. Any threat we're able to Shelter by Ghosts away, and hopefully we should have enough threats that they're unable to kill spell it themselves. Getting rid of all of the Traveling Chocobos in the deck can definitely be a problem, but with the fetch land we were able to keep in hand and Shelter by Ghosts, we will be able to double Tifa to 8. The Saz's Chocobo will go to 6, which unfortunately will not be enough damage. So I think our best choice is to simply Mossborn Hydra. Swing for what damage we can, and keep our Terramorphic Expanse available to us for the following turn. Deadly Cover-Up is definitely a frightening thought. So I'm out of Mossborn Hydras and out of Traveling Chocobos. Definitely a scary situation to be in. However, I do think we can just get our triggers in. Get some free ramp in the process. And see what happens. In a similar spot of whatever threat they play, we are able to shelter by ghosts. Just depends if they've got another big board wipe in store. So anyway, the Ice Still is definitely a reasonable choice. Now here I am in a position where I would like to start pushing for damage. However, it's unlikely that if we hard drop the Shelter by Ghost here, we get in for any significant amount. It only puts him to 6, which is not single land range. I think our best choice is just to ping for the 1 and hold up as much interaction as we can and hopefully be able to grind out this game. Still 2 turns away from the full Virtue of Persistence. Okay. The fetch land from the graveyard is reasonable. Essentially get to use their Heritage Reclamation as a cantrip. This is a great spot for Defend the Rider, giving our Tifa indestructible. Hopefully will put us in a great spot. Get rid of all of our Defend the Riders. It's understandable. The end and double deadly cover-up is definitely been good for them in this game. We'll just have to see what we're able to top deck. And a land is exactly what we needed. So we can double Tifa to 8. Give ourselves a little bit of a cushion. And hopefully be able to push through for enough damage to win. Now that, I think, definitely could have been a misplay. Got ahead of ourselves a little bit. However, had he just kill spelled the Tifa, I mean, he'd be at 9 life, and we have a land and Shelter by Ghost in hand, which, to be honest, does not make me the happiest. Again, scared to drop Bristly Bill into a potential removal, but it's a check of, I mean, they're at 1 life. I don't need to generate counter value. I think I am at a point in my game where it's spamming cards until they don't have an answer for them. And hopefully that timer will run out soon. Okay. Another cantrip that, fortunately for them, is able to get them out of Bristly Bill hard killing range. And on their following turn, they're going to be able to hard cast Virtue of Persistence. Another deadly cover-up is not great for us. Definitely removes a lot of options for us here. Tifa's definitely a fine choice. Virtue of Persistence is only going to let them grab cards from my graveyard, which, while they can get a great blocker in the Ice Still Explorer, That's a great piece for them, getting some life back, and gives them a great blocker. We'll hold our land drop and in a bit of a top deck battle, but unfortunately I think their late game is probably designed to be much better than my own. Now let's just hope we can find Shelter by Ghosts is really one of the only options we have without Bristly Bill or the Chocobo, or even Mossborn Hydra. Shelter by Ghosts is probably our best option. But unfortunately he's going to get double Virtue of Persistences, and it does seem like he will curve out and win this game. But we will keep on fighting. Travis has a Chocobo of his own. And unfortunately, Fountain Point will be, even without the kill spell, Fountain Point would be a great blocker. 1 life to stop the Saza Chocobo each turn. He's got enough life to build a clock that's more than resilient enough. We do have a decent shield of a life total. However, finding the lands is not ideal. We'll drop our fetch land and try and stack as many land drops as we can on what seems like Tifa Lockhart is our only option. But it does seem we'll need Tifa Lockhart, a lack of removal on their end, and probably another fetch land. That unfortunately is not it. That's a lot of card advantage for them. Possibility we even deck out this game, albeit unlikely. But we will keep fighting. Not necessarily out of the game just yet. Although the Evolving Wilds, Icetill and Tifa is a great piece for them. And there will be game when they sack the escape tunnel and swing in. Interesting choice. May have just been a misclick, but potentially does buy us 1 more turn, albeit unlikely that that is a difference maker. I honestly don't know if there's a top deck that can save us at this point. But I would be more than happy to be proven wrong. That, unfortunately, is definitely not one of them. That will be a game 3 for us. But fortunately, while we are still in gold, 1 win will net us 2 pips, while 1 loss only loses us 1, and so we will not backtrack nearly as much as we will once we start getting into the higher ranks. And we will go ahead and let them swing in for game. Very well played by our opponent. Timed their kill spells very well to generate the advantage they needed. Here we are in game number 4. On the draw, but with a very keepable hand. We have a 1-drop, Bristly Bill, and a Trampler. And what hopefully will be a very quick game. Very possible that we are playing in another Spider Tribal Mirror match. It appears I don't have interaction up unless they're choosing to hide it. But I like the idea of giving ourselves the opportunity to swing in for a lot of damage with Tifa Lockhart. With a fetch land and Bristly Bill, she doubles up to 10. And bar a kill spell that puts them on a 2-turn clock. One which they may not even be aware of without the knowledge of the 2 fetch lands in our hand. And spells like that where they have to go 2 for 1, I'm honestly okay with. I'm fine to lose a Tifa for 2 cards in his hand, as well as them essentially taking off the turn 3. I think definitely the choice I want to make here is to play Scavenging Ooze and give us a little bit of life, but be able to get rid of some of this pesky graveyard nonsense that unfortunately I fear we're going to have to be dealing with. Now, while there is merit to Scavenging Oozing at sorcery speed, if they do have the 2 kill spells to prevent the effect, that does mean they will not be able to drop Valgavoth this turn. And I think it's more likely that they have another outlet to get another Valgavoth in the graveyard. So I'd rather squeeze a little bit more value. Here, I think playing Bristly Bill is our best choice. Get in our Ice-Till Explorer at a later date, and try and get the Saz's Chocobo to be as big of a threat as we can make it. They have their hugest threat out of the graveyard, where it's definitely possible to send another one there and reanimate it in 1 turn. But that does require 3 specific cards in the hand, which I find unlikely to happen. Cardcast Overlord of the Balemark. That's a beautiful art, by the way. Absolutely gorgeous artwork. I mean, almost all of these arts are full arts of some kind. Very, very beautiful. Fortunately, with them being tapped out, this will be enough to generate us the game, I believe. Unfortunately, not quite. We can Ice-Till Explorer, but even with the double land drop, we're not going to get enough mana to Shelter by Ghost that away. But it is definitely possible to either hope we mill a basic land, or silly mistake on my part. Obviously not a possibility. But we are able to either fake this Chocobo not getting through, and at the very least we can force them to chunk block with the Overlord. Here we will go ahead and sack just to get an extra damage from Bristly Bill. And hopefully survive just 1 more turn. Alright, looks like he'll mill some very scary pieces. He's able to drop a second blocker that'd be very beneficial for him, but fortunately, even if he did, we would have been able to Shelter by Ghost on Bristly Bill and get 4 land drops to push him to 8, so we would have been able to clear one blocker and have these both be lethal, but we will go ahead and have the Chocobo get the life gain. Other benefit to be that we now are able to keep our Bristly Bill alive, so we can make this Mossborn Hydra more than strong enough to deal with whatever they choose to bring out. So let's go ahead and make a big Hydra. Let's do the same again. I think can now start put some counters on the Ice Tool, so we at least get a little bit of value if we double with Bristly Bill. And we will pass the turn. Potentially merit to saving some of those counters to try and get some extra damage in with Bristly Bill and Ice Till. Definitely scary for them, but hopefully we're able to grow these guys both into big enough creatures to win the game. What we need to do is have Shelter by Ghosts, get rid of the Cavero, and then get these creatures big enough that the double makes them threats. Which unfortunately we will not be able to get quite there. We'll be able to get the Ice Till Explorer. Oh, yes we will. I am poor at math today. But we are able to make both of these lethal damage and swing in for what is hopefully a win in Game 4. Great game. Definitely scary to play against a Graveyard Reanimator deck, but finding our Scavenging Ooze was a phenomenal top draw there to get rid of that Valgavoth, and we were able to grind out the rest of the game. Here we are getting into a mere game number 5. Definitely been slower games today than what we've had the past few days. This is an interesting hand. I don't hate the idea of keeping it, as we still have Bristly Bill protection for it, and I still explore to start making it a problem. And I think it's worth keeping the safe hand, although there's definitely merit to saying mulliganing to 6 is not a bad choice. Looks like we might be into Dimir mid-range. Definitely a deck I'd rather have 7 cards against. Now here, I definitely prefer to wait a turn on the Bristly Bill, as I don't particularly want to play it directly into Shoot the Sheriff. Ooh, very interesting deck. Or card choice, I should say. Appears to be Reanimator and not Dimir mid-range, and that's a conclusion I jumped to on my own. It's a mistake on my part. However, hopeful that that will not be enough to cost us the game. And I still have the opportunity to hold up some protection for Bristly Bill. Would have been better to play one of our fetch lands on the turn 2 if we were planning to take it off, so we could Ice Tool Explorer on curve. Definitely a mistake there, but we'll have to see how that affects the game. Looks like they have nothing for Valgavoth to reanimate just yet. Always a little bit of a relaxing feeling when the opponent makes sure to tap out. Here, I think our best choice is to play Tifa Lockhart, hold up defend the Rider mana for her, and hope that we are able to push through to win the game. Tifa with 3 land drops will fortunately double to a lot of damage. So maybe it was better to keep Bristly Bill available as a blocker if need be. However, we will just have to see what happens. Reason I keep this Evolving Wilds available, well, we do want it to be able to play our Ice Tail Explorer on curve, so we get 4 land drops instead. But it does let us get outside of a couple of kill spells. Namely the -3/-3 one. Then I guess put another counter on Tifa at instant speed. And if this is their whole turn, I believe this will be our game. As with Ice Tail Explorer and a fetch land in hand, we should have more than enough triggers to make Tifa push through for the game. And fortunately they notice, and we don't even have to go through the effort of doubling her a few more times. It's a great win, much faster game than what we've had, which is very, very helpful to us with the limited time that we have. Let's push on, continuing through gold. Here we are in game number 6, which potentially could be the last game of the day, depending on how long it takes. Looks to be a very wide initial hand, but definitely something that I'm willing to play, as we're able to get 2 2/3 chocobos on the play. However, there are definitely pieces that this hand lacks. Opponent goes to 6. Let's see what deck they're playing. Another black base deck. We've had a lot of those today. Need to be wary of removal. Interesting card. Potentially some kind of Rakdos burn strategy. But our best choice is to get our chocobos up so we can swing for damage and keep one as a blocker. Grab our white mana, as if we are against some kind of burn, the life gain will definitely be beneficial to us. Does appear to be Rakdos at least. Actually, Rakdos Lizard Tribal. Now I think the best choice is to most likely Bristly Bill, try and grow these creatures out of lightning bolt range and put them on as fast of a clock as we can. Playing against an aggro deck is definitely a benefit. Hopefully will allow us to get another game in today. One of the main benefits I found from playing the... Definitely want to defend our Bristly Bill from the protection here. And the great thing, I mean, Defend the Rider is one of my favorite protection spells in the game. Defends against almost every single type of kill spell for 1 green. However, one of the main benefits from playing them on a green is that generally the games are generally quite quick, and we're able to get a higher volume of games in than what we might with another deck strategy. Let's get Bristly Bill out of 3-mana kill spell range and force them to chump block with at least one creature. And we will get a surrender, which should leave us just enough time to play one more game before the end of the climb today. Here we are on the play again for our last game of the day, and what looks to be a phenomenal hand. Always love hands with multiple 1-drops. Bristly Bill and Mossborn Hydra is an amazing combo as well. Between games, opened some packs with the gold we have, and while we unfortunately didn't get any wild cards, we are just one pack away from one more rare wild card. Once we get our collection of that up to 8, we'll most likely swap out the Evolving Wilds for a slightly better land choice. However, I think I like the idea of keeping the Shelter by Ghosts. It's put in a lot of work in these games that I don't know if I'm convinced World Soul's Rage would give us the same value. Now into the Simic based deck, I think I want to get Mossborn Hydra in as soon as possible. As with Bristly Bill and a fetch land, we will be able to grow him into a threat the turn he recovers from being sick. And them taking a turn off for Overlord is honestly something I'm very happy to see. Now let's start stacking up the counters on the Hydra, and hopefully put our opponent on a clock they're unable to deal with in time. Playing a deck that generates such powerful creatures but also has the threat to win on turn 4 is just a great feeling. Typically very linear lines throughout the game, and definitely a deck I would recommend to anyone trying to climb to Mythic for the first time. Spending the turn on the card draw is unfortunate for them, but it does allow us to get one more victory, putting us all the way to Gold Tier 2. We'll continue the series tomorrow and hopefully be able to climb all the way to Platinum. We had another great day in the Gold rank, winning enough games to get us to Gold Tier 2 and just 6 wins away from reaching Platinum, where the real challenge of the climb is going to begin, where 1 pip for 1 win and 1 pip for 1 loss, requiring a positive win rate to keep climbing up the ranks. We had some slower games today, a little bit lower volume of games, but we had another great win rate to propel us through the ranks, and we'll be back again tomorrow with hopefully similar results.